Hey kiddos, this is Mrs. Rowley with a quick tutorial over Workplace 7A, Race to the Cookie Jar. So these are the materials that you're going to need: a whiteboard and a marker, a piece of scratch paper and pencil. Uh, Players share the game board and a spinner. So with our digital workplaces, typically I tell you that all the materials are embedded right into the game board. For this particular workplace, you are going to want a whiteboard and a marker or a piece of scratch paper and a pencil, just to help with some calculations. That is not embedded in this game. Each player spins the first spinner once. The player who lands on the high number starts first and gets to decide whether to play for the red ant or the blue ant. Players will set their game marker at 0 on their side of the game board. Player 1 spins all 3 spinners. Then they add the first 2 numbers and subtract the third number from the sum of the first 2. That's a little tricky, so I'm going to think about that a little bit. Players use the whiteboard or paper to help with the calculations if necessary. Player 1 moves their marker to the designated number of spaces. Each space is worth 10. Ooh, I love this because we just got done thinking about one unit being worth more than 1. So that's cool. Each space is worth 10. So if a player gets the answer of 50, they get to move their marker 5 spaces up the path toward the cookie jar. That's cool. All right, then it's player 2's turn. After player 2 goes, the 2 players go back and forth, spinning and moving, until one of them reaches the cookie jar to win the game. Players do not have to go out evenly. I like these types of games the best. If a player is only 4 spaces away from the cookie jar and gets 70 on their next turn, they still win the game. And then, of course, there are some variations. If you want to try these variations, you can with an adult or a friend or a sibling. So let's take a peek at the game board. Here it is. All right, remember, player 1 and player 2 spins the first spinner. So that might be player 1. Here's player 2 going. Oh, I would say that was on the 90, and the player 1 was on the 60 for the player. So the person who spun the 90 is going to go first. And pick whatever color you want. I'm going to pick yellow, and you put it right on 0. That means that player 2 is going to come over here, also put it on 0. All right, now I spin all 3 spinners. I'm going to add the first 2, 80 plus 60. And I want you to think about the tools you have in your math toolkit right now. What are some tools that you could use in order to add this up nice and efficient? 80 and 60 more. I always like to think about breaking things apart. So I know 80 and 20 will give me 100, and then another 40 will give me 140. Do you see how I took that 60 and I split it into a 20 and 40? Again, what I really like about math is that you can take numbers and you can do some funky things with them to make it easier. So I know that 80 plus 60 is the same as 80 plus 20 plus 40, and that gives me 140. Beautiful. The last spinner landed on a 70, so now I have to subtract this last piece. So 140 subtract 70. And for me, again, this is a strategy that I find easy. You kind of have to make your way on your own strategies, right? You may find this easy, or you may find another strategy easy. I like tens, hundreds, thousands. I'm always looking to work with them. So I know that if I subtracted 40, that would get me to 100. I love that. So I'm going to take this 70 and I'm going to change it to a 40 and a 30. Actually, I'm going to stick a little plus in there just to kind of prove to you guys that this is an equal part. 40 plus 30 is the same as 70. So 140 subtract 40 will give me 100. And then if I subtract the other 30, that's going to give me 70. So I added my first 2, and then I subtracted my third. I ended up with 70. And now I'm going to take my little token and I'm going to move it 7 spaces. Remember, each one is worth 10. So if you want, you can count 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, or you could have started at 50 and gone 60, 70. All right, and you're trying to get all the way around to finish first. All right, it's player 2's turn. They're going to do the exact same thing. Continue to take turns until someone finishes this game. I hope that you enjoy playing this game. You can use any tools in your toolkits, right? You can use a 100 chart. You can use a Reck and Rec. You can use an open number line. Feel free to use tools in order to solve. Find a parent, a friend, or a sibling and play. Don't forget to send me a screenshot of the finished board.